Hello everyone, we are going to study nervous system. This is part 1. Just because nervous system is a very big chapter, we are going to deal with the functions of nervous system in this video as well as the structure of neuron. So what are the functions of nervous system? It keeps us informed about the changes in the environment. Whatever changes are being done in the environment, our body keeps us informed with the help of nervous system. The second most important function is that it stores memory. It uses brain over here, which we'll be studying in the other part. It controls the voluntary and involuntary activities. What is voluntary? All those activities which are under our control. Involuntary activities are all those which are not under our control. It produces sensation like vision, hearing, smell, taste, pain, etc. with the help of 5 sense organs. So all the 5 sense organs help us in all these sensations. And the last function is that it conducts information and messages between different parts of the body. The nervous system is a network of many nerve cells. What are these nerve cells called as? The nerve cells are called as neurons. These neurons are present in the entire nervous system. The nervous system comprises of the brain, the spinal cord, all the sense organs, eyes, nose, ear, everywhere the neurons are present. So neurons can be called as the structural, because the neuron is making the structure, and the functional unit of nervous system. Structural and the functional unit of nervous system. If we talk about neurons, these neurons actually are the longest cells of the body. How do we know them? These are the longest cells of the body, and the most important thing is that these neurons do not divide. They do not divide because they have a very long lifespan. They almost live for more than 100 years, almost 100 years, 90 years. So if they are having a span of almost this long, a human life does not see its division. Why doesn't it divide? Because it lacks centrioles. We have studied earlier in my videos when I was teaching cell division. I taught that cell division is basically because the spindle fibers are formed by the centrioles. So if there is no centriole in the neuron, then the division is not possible, and the lifespan is also very long. Apart from these neurons, there are certain neuroglial cells also present everywhere. These neuroglial cells can divide. These are present as packing tissue, and they are also nursing tissue. The nursing tissue means that they help in feeding or helping in nourishment to the neurons. So they are actually the supporting cells in between the neurons. Neurons are in millions present in the entire nervous system. Now let me tell you how to draw a neuron. It is basically divided into two parts. The big star-shaped structure is the cyton, and this long part is known as the axon. So let me write over here, this is the cyton, and this long part is the axon. Now what is present in the cyton? The cyton is also called as cell body. Cyton is also known as cell body. Sometimes it is also known as perikaryon. And what does it comprise of? It comprises of the nucleus in the center, and it also has cytoplasm. And in the cytoplasm, there are certain granules. These are specific granules which are called as Nissl's granules. Named after the discoverer, we call it as Nissl's granules. Nissl is the name of the scientist. Nissl's granules. These were earlier thought to be the reserve food molecule, but later it was found out that these are actually aggregation of RNA. So therefore it is helpful in protein synthesis. So this structure is the cyton, having this centrally placed nucleus, and there are extensions over here in the cytoplasm. These extensions are called as dendron. and each dendron is in blue color, but the dendrite is in green color. These dendrites are actually meant for the input of the impulse. I'll tell you later the structure of the entire neuron. And this is the longest cytoplasmic process which I have mentioned as axon. Now this axon is covered with an outer covering called as myelin sheath. Myelin sheath is also known as medullary sheath. This is myelin sheath, also known as medullary sheath. So it is not compulsory that every neuron should have this. That means on the basis of the presence of myelin sheath, the neuron can be called either as myelinated or medullated nerve fiber, or it can be non-myelinated. If it is not present, that means it is non-myelinated or non-medullated nerve fiber. Okay, now this myelin sheath is made up of small cells. These small cells are called as Schwann cells. Again, the name of the discoverer, Schwann, and these Schwann cells aggregate and form this myelin sheath. These cells are very rich in adipose, that means fat. So therefore this appears to be whitish in color. So the myelin sheath appears to be whitish in color, and there is also some gap in between. The myelin sheath is not continuous, but there is a gap in between. This particular portion is called as nodes of Ranvier. Here it is only one, so I am writing it as node. Again, the name of the scientist, Ranvier. Node of Ranvier. That means the space where the myelin sheath is not present, or the discontinuous myelin sheath, this place is known as node of Ranvier. And this is the last part, which is called as the entire neuron end. But this is the axon actually, so we call it as either axon end, and it has knobs over here. These knobs are called as synaptic knobs. This place is called as synapse. What is this synapse? The synapse is the junction between two neurons. So the other neuron will be starting below this synapse. So there is an empty space. This is known as synapse. This is the junction between this neuron and the other neuron. So therefore these knobs are called as synaptic knobs. So the myelin sheath actually helps in conduction of the nerve impulse. In the functions, I told you that the transmission of the impulse is one of the important functions of the nervous system. What is this impulse now? The impulse is in the form of message. The impulse is from the dendrons. From the dendrites it comes into the dendron, then into the cyton, and then it comes into this axon. So it always has this particular direction. It will never go this way. It will be always from the dendrons into the cyton, and from the cyton it will be away from the axon. Again it will be received by the dendrites and dendrons of the next neuron, and then into the next neuron. This is how the impulse is conducted. So the impulse runs through the neuron. Now, how is this impulse generated? This impulse is generated whenever the stimulus is received. Stimulus is any external change in the environment. If a particular change occurs in the environment, if you are sitting and the fan starts moving, or if somebody throws a stone, if you see anything or you hear anything through the sense organ ear, or any type of change in the environment will be considered as stimulus. Stimulus is plural, stimulus is singular, and stimuli is plural. So when the stimulus is received, the neuron gets excited. So this is one of the important functions. What is one of the functions of neuron? Excitability. And once the neuron gets excited, then the conduction of the impulse takes place. So the second function is conductivity. So one function is excitability and the second function is conductivity. Let us study the different types of neurons. Neurons can be unipolar, Unipolar means it will have this one cyton and have only one ending like this. The nucleus will be here. So it will be called as unipolar. Bipolar, this is the cyton and it will be like this. The endings will be here. Bipolar. And what I explained right now is the multipolar neuron. That means this way. So this is the multipolar neuron. So on the basis of this polarity, if it is 1, then it is called as unipolar. If it is 2, then it is bipolar. And if it is more than 2, we call it as multipolar neuron. And on the basis of functions, again we can have 3 different types of neurons. Sensory neurons. Sensory neurons are those neurons which start from the sense organs. Sense organs are 5, I told you: eyes, ears, nose, tongue and skin. From these sense organs, if they originate and they take the message to the brain or the central nervous system, then the neurons which carry the message are the sensory neurons. So the sensory neuron is carrying the message. So these are always towards the central nervous system. The second type of neuron is motor neurons. Motor neurons are those neurons which bring the message back from the central nervous system to any type of the organ, which will be called as effector organ. Effector organ is the organ which brings the message back to the which brings the effect in the body after getting the message from the central nervous system. The brain is giving the message to the legs to move. So the effector organ will be the legs. And the third type of neuron are the mixed, also known as intermediate neurons, which perform both type of functions. They can be either sensory or motor. They function as both sensory and motor neurons. We call them as mixed neurons. So on the basis of functions, there are 3 types of neurons: sensory neurons, motor neurons and mixed. Check the description box for any for the questions that may be coming in the board exams. You may prepare those questions for the board exams, and if you have any doubt, you can also ask in the comment section. Thank you.